Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's another groovy Tuesday with your host, Ken Goldberg, who is hosting his podcast on Disorder on June 22nd, 2021. Mwah. Mwah. I touch a thing or two. I think of lying in bed. I shouldn't have said, but there it is. You see, it's all clear. Sorry, I was listening to some music and 6 o'clock rolled around. I had to choose music, podcast, music, and they won. Tie score. That song went out to Chris. I don't know if Chris was here for it. I see Chris. You can always rewind or something. I don't know. So, good evening. What an evening. What an evening. What an evening. Yeah, let me tell you why. Tell you what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the Republicans have trampled the Democrats repeatedly. And as a result, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people will not have access to the polls going forward. And I just want to take a bow. I want to take a bow. The accolades should cascade around me because after the election and the Senate was 50-50, I came here to tell you that 50-50 with Vice President Harris was going to be worthless, that there was no such thing as Senate control under the circumstance. It was an illusion that people were perpetrating, and it was all bullshit. And now the Republicans are stomping the Democrats into little itty bitty, like, I don't know where I was going with that. They're stomping the Democrats. They're kicking their teeth in. They're making them bite the curb. Republicans are so much better at politics than Democrats. Democrats can't find their ass with their right hand. Okay? It's pathetic. It's obscene that I'm going to live through a time where I'm going to watch what is now almost 6 years of regressive politics originated by the Republican Party, which represents maybe 35% of the country. The Democrats represent about, 65% of the country, and can't pass anything, can't pass shit. They're just worthless as tits on a bull. They're nothing but a group of clowns. And while I am a Democrat, I find it wholly embarrassing that I have to vote for a group of guys who reside, and women, who reside in a clown car when they're not busy coming out and pretending to manage the Congress, the House, and the Senate. And the voting rights bill won't pass. I don't know what they'll do about it. They're not going to pass the infrastructure package. They'll pass maybe some little version of it. They're not going to pass a restructuring of policing in the United States. They're not going to pass anything that's going to neutralize Citizens United, which permits large corporations, our very rich people, to donate tons of money, primarily to the Republican Party. They won't recover the Supreme Court. You just saw the best that the Democrats had when they passed a stimulus package with Republican help, and that was it. Well, they didn't really have any Republican help. It's over. It's over. Mitch McConnell has punched the Democrats in the nuts. The Democrats are writhing on the ground in pain, incapable of defending themselves. This is just, I mean, day in and day out. Day in and day out, if you are politically savvy, if you're monitoring the Congress, if you're watching the political machinations, then you would know of what I speak. If you don't do that, and I'm not suggesting you need to, then you have me. And I'm here to tell you that I wasn't prescient when I said that the Democrats were in no position to run the United States, and that Biden wouldn't be able to pass a stop sign without permission from the Republicans. Sadly, so completely accurate that it's dismal. And if I could wave a magic wand and live somewhere else right now, a place of my choosing, in a lifestyle I would like to think I'd be accustomed to, I would snap my fingers, wave my magic wand, and I'd be gone. I'm so sick of watching the Democrats get trampled, and then they get up and they got these Republican footprints, muddy footprints on their backs of their suit jackets. What a fucking parade, man. Watch the House, watch the Senate. Everybody's dressed up like they got somewhere to go. And these motherfuckers ain't got nowhere to go, man. All they got to do is sit there and get paid. They don't have to accomplish a thing. What a freaking circus, man. A circus of suits and ties. If I was in the Senate, I'd be wearing gym shoes, jeans, and a t-shirt. And if somebody said something to me about my apparel, I would say what any senator has the right to say. Screw you. I'll wear what I want to wear. There's no dress code. You can't enforce a dress code on senators. But they're all, watch them. They'll be all over CNN, MSNBC, maybe Fox News tonight when you show the slow march to death. You'll see they all stood around very collegially, very colonially, in their monkey suits, acting like they were going about the business of governance, when in fact, they did no such thing. You go to a street fight, dress for a street fight. You go to the symphony, I don't know, maybe you put on a sport coat. Ain't no freaking symphony. Okay? You go to a street fight, dress for it, man. It's so freaking pathetic. It's so denigrating to call yourself a Democrat when what that means very specifically at the federal level, that you know how to get your feelings hurt, your teeth kicked in, and spit upon. I mean, all 50 senators, Democratic senators, They all ought to be embarrassed. I know some of them are good people trying to do good stuff. I know this. Bernie Sanders and the progressive wing, they're trying, man. But instead of interviewing on CNN or MSNBC or wherever the freak they're showing up, I don't know what else they ought to do, but what they're doing doesn't work. And that's fine. I go to restaurants, I see them flounder. And you sit there and you say to somebody, customer service isn't very good here. Not very efficient, right? You say to yourself, wow, look at the kitchen's in the wrong place. Kitchen's in front of the restaurant. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, you could criticize, and then you could choose not to go back to that restaurant. You could criticize the way your gym, you might go to a gym, work out and say, why do they have the leg machines spread all over, but they have the arm and chest machines clustered together? Why didn't they cluster the leg machines together? You can do that. But the Senate, you can criticize it, doesn't mean squat. Okay? You can vote, you can win, and it means nothing. And a lot of you didn't know it meant nothing. A lot of you actually thought that the Biden administration having a 50-50 Senate could do something. The Republicans were passing stimulus packages before Biden got elected. Passing the stimulus package was nothing. Nothing. You dig what I'm saying? Passing a Voting Rights Act, changing the tax structure, eliminating the filibuster, working on police reform, passing major infrastructure changes. This should have been what you hoped for. 18 Republican states have crushed voting rights. 30 more will do so before the year is out. Because almost the entire country is working on suppressing voter rights. Maybe not 30 more. Yeah. But it'll be enough that hundreds of thousands of voters will be denied access to the polls, and in the alternative, their vote will be overturned by legislators who only were supposed to have one vote themselves, but have now passed in a variety of states legislation which will allow them to redirect electoral college votes so that your vote for president, if it's for a Democrat, will be null and void. You should right now, listening to my voice, you should be aware that you just got fucked. The odds you getting unfucked are very limited. So I have no clue what you do now. I have written letters. I have advocated as publicly as I can that the Democrats learn how to manage the country. It's fallen on deaf ears. Not just my cries, but the cries of millions of others. And so we go forward. And we hear them pontificate. That's what really is nauseate. Pelosi says democracy is in peril. Would somebody go slap that old woman and tell her democracy is already underwater? Will somebody please tell her it's all bullshit and they lost? Will somebody please tell Vice President Harris, Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, Feinstein, all these Democrats to listen to AOC and understand that they lost the governance of the United States of America assuredly and almost completely. And that barring some absolute Hail Mary, the game is over. In 2022, the Democrats will not hold 50 seats, probable. They will hold less than, and they will get trampled more. I suggest that if there was still a filibuster and the Republicans don't have all 60 votes, they will nullify the filibuster and take over. I suggest to you that in 2022, the Democrats are likely to lose the Congress, both houses, and any chance of governance by Biden will perish in the flames of Republican resistance. Absolutely true. I should say it's Ken's opinion. I'm tired of having an opinion that is just dead on. I mean, I'm kind of tired of acting like I'm prescient, like somehow I'm pulling a rabbit out of my hat. You know, oh, wrong hat. Yeah, Rocky and Bullwinkle, right? No, it's so dismaying to be a citizen of a country wherein 80 million voters have been silenced. If you can't find a freaking thing that the Democrats have done since Biden took office, they have not passed a significant piece of legislation. They haven't. They're going to keep telling you it was the stimulus package, and I'm going to keep telling you, no, the Republicans fought against it, but if the Republicans had won, they were going to pass more stimulus. They were just going to do it. And everybody knows it. Everybody in Congress knows it. So they've done nothing. And they're determined to do nothing. And I don't know that they can do anything anyways. Because Joe Manchin, who I was told by a guy that went to high school with me and hasn't seen me in 50 years, over 50 years, that I may be in the wrong party because I criticized Joe Manchin. I wrote him privately because I didn't want to embarrass him publicly and never heard from him. Trying to, how shall I say, accuse me of being politically stupid and naive only shows that, one, the guy didn't know me very well, and two, he needs to take his head outside of his ass, and then maybe he could see the landscape and he would have refrained from criticizing me when I criticized Joe Manchin. So in order to eliminate the filibuster, they need Joe Manchin. In order for the Democrats to control the Senate, they need Joe Manchin, who refuses to overturn the filibuster. So there's really, at this moment, there's not a single thing the Democrats can do to alter the course of human events politically. They've been completely, they're eunuchs. Their balls were cut off. They can no longer participate in meaningful sex. So enough of that. Let's talk about something else. So let's talk about the music. Ennio Morricone. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I decided, and I don't remember when or where or why I decided, I thought, this guy wrote a lot of movie music, a lot of soundtracks, and starting with the spaghetti westerns of Clint Eastwood. He was probably writing music before then, but he became prominent collaborating with Sergio Leone, who was doing spaghetti westerns and rode to great fame with Clint Eastwood, Good, Bad, the Ugly, Fistful of Dollars for a few more dollars, or whatever else. Sergio Leone was filming westerns, American westerns, in Italy, using Italians as Mexicans, and Clint Eastwood is one of the few Anglos. You know, he used Eli Wallach as a Mexican. Eli Wallach, not a Mexican. So I thought let us give an homage to this man who became so prominent for his soundtrack music, and I posted some of his stuff. Some of his stuff is subtle, but remember, it was something else was going on in accompanying his music. There was visuals. Um, Once upon a time in the West, when Bronson is playing the harmonica, um, that's the Man with the Harmonica theme. I mean, there was so much atmosphere in the movie at that moment. I mean, it was getting ready for a gunfight. So, but most of what I posted has video that accompanies it, and so I think you will find Morricone, or whatever his name is. He was prolific. He is prolific. I don't think he's dead. I don't know. He was a prolific composer, and uh, you may not even know how many movies you attended. The Mission with Robert De Niro about priest. I'm pretty sure I put one in there by him. Yeah, yeah. In fact, it says he conducts himself in the Mission, and then Ave Maria was also um, used in the movie. So, hey, Tammy and Rose, Chris, maybe Becky's here, uh, Rachel, Kathy. Hi, everybody. So, this is why I have an homage. I just, I'm trying to come up with little mini themes that I can use for music as kind of a, um, how do you say, the lost leader? No, it's like a way to promote my presence here, music, right? But I don't have. I mean, I got no show on spaghetti westerns. Although I did say, as far as the title goes, I can be good, bad, and ugly. But that's just a play on the fact that his probably most famous uh, soundtrack and Sergio Leone's probably most famous movie was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. So I got that out of the way. And so now let's talk about some other stuff. So uh, it's been an interesting couple of days, but I've been here each day except for Sunday. So today the weather was supposed to break good. Um, the country is in a horrible climatic disaster. I'm particularly aware of Arizona. Somebody I went to high school with, South Shore High School, lives in northern Arizona, slightly mid Arizona, but more north. And they're preparing to evacuate Payson, Arizona. She listed the number of fires around her. There's so many fires, and I was there 3 years ago. I love hiking Arizona, or I did. I used to love hiking Arizona in the past. I lived there. I hiked there a lot. And all the way from Tucson all the way up to northern Arizona is getting scorched. It's been getting scorched for years. Um, in Tucson, you may recall me mentioning that I wanted to take the family of my dear, 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 dear friend, Jerry, who passed. And I carried the ashes I was given by his family. They took some ashes, went up a road, and then I went up a mountain to a waterfall, about 3 mile hike up. And I placed his ashes in this stream, this waterfall that he and I hiked to so many times. And so I wanted to take his daughters up there. They'd never been up there. They certainly haven't been up there since he passed. And the entire canyon was shut down because of a previous fire. The top of the mountain is Mount Lemon, scorched. I went to Sholo 3 years ago. That's in the White Mountains, scorched. All the trails were scorched. I was walking on ash. It was horrible. After 3 days, me and my friends decided to go further north and I think east to Greer, Arizona, and hike there in the hopes that it would be better. Scorched. 1 million acres. 1 million acres had already been scorched. That was before this year, and now there's something like 12 fires in Arizona. The LA County fire chief has said that LA County is at risk of burning because it's such a drought. Animals are in peril. My brother told me that the little animals that he feeds in Joshua Tree, squirrels and rabbits and whatnot, he says he's finding these animals are not surviving. He's putting out water as best he can, but they're just so drought stricken that these animals that he cares so much about. My brother's a recluse, and he lives in Joshua Tree, and he's always been a lover of wildlife, and he's always put out food and drink for them. And so we have this ecological threat, disaster unfolding right now. So here I am in Dallas. So how does this affect me? Well, the skies opened up for 2 weeks. It looked like we had nothing but rain. It's incredible. We had a drought, and all of a sudden we didn't have a drought. We had low water tables, and all of a sudden we had high water tables, and now they're dropping again. But what we have is tremendous heat frequently. Today was supposed to be a break from the heat. So I talked to Cynthia and I said, let's go ahead and do our weekly walk. We were going to do it on Thursday because I wanted to get out as early as I could. And Thursday for the two of us was the day we could best get out early, like 8 o'clock. And then I saw the weather looked like it was going to be pretty good today. So I contacted her kind of the last minute, 6 a.m., and said maybe today is the way to go because it's low humidity, supposed to be kind of low heat. So we said, yeah. And off we went to Breckenridge Park in Richardson, Texas. And if this is the best summer has to offer, I'm in trouble, man, because after 6 miles of walking, I was beat. I was beat, people. It was still humid. It was still hot. Wasn't as hot as 97. It was only like 84 or something. This is early. We only get warmer from here. Texas gets hot, and it loves its humidity, right? So humidity is arises out of a number of factors. One of the factors is proximity to water. Texas had no significant bodies of water, had creeks and a couple of rivers. Didn't have very many lakes at all. So the U.S. Army Air Corps, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers built lakes all around Texas because, man, if we got nothing else, we got political clout. We had Lyndon Johnson. We got Ted Cruz. We got more. Now, clean that up, Ken. Just back up. Just don't go. Anyways, we got political clout. So I arrive here, and there are bodies of water, but they're almost all of them are too small or too dirty to enjoy. People don't swim a lot here. They go out on boats. Well, if you go to a lake that's got a lot of boats on, and you jump in the water, I don't know, you might be swimming with diesel fuel. Okay. So, because the boats are they all leak, and it goes in these lakes, and there's nowhere for them to go. It's not Lake Michigan, kids. It's not one of the Great Lakes. Okay, so but what these large bodies of water contribute to is humidity. As the sun hits moisture, water, it kind of turns into this kind of steamy feel. So we're in for some rough times. I mean, I lived in Tucson for 8 years, but I always followed Chicago and Dallas weather because I'd lived for extended periods of time in both locations. And there were years when Dallas had more days over 100 degrees than Tucson. And Tucson's desert, you know, I mean, it's desert. What else do you have to say when you're trying to talk? What kind of climate do they have in Tucson? Well, it's desert. You pretty much, from that, you kind of figure you know a little bit about it. You ask about Dallas. Well, what kind of climate does Dallas have? Well, freak if I know, and I've been here 20 years, and I don't know what I would say. It's kind of like not as bad as Houston, not as humid as Houston, but just as hot as most of the hottest spots in South United States. So, anyways, I got out there, and I was the first 15 minutes were fine, pleasant, wasn't too hot, and then I just struggled. But we Texans know how to deal with struggle. We went and got some smoked meat for lunch. Now, I'd prefer to be vegetarian, but I go with the crowd. If the crowd wants to eat meat, typically I'll eat meat. But what I did was I ordered roasted vegetables. I got a big plate of roast vegetables. I got some broccoli salad, and then I got some meat. And, it was groovy. It was groovy. But Texas is not well regarded for its vegetarian delights. You go to California and you can find vegetarian restaurants or restaurants that are very pronounced vegetarian. And there's a reason why vegetarian restaurants thrive, I think. As much as I like meat, I don't believe for a minute that eating red meat helps me to thrive as a organism, as a physical organism, right? I believe, and theoretically, if you know about nutrition, you know that there's more nutrition to be found in plant life than in mammal life, right? So I'm not a big advocate of meat. I just eat too much of it. But if you want to thrive, if you want this mechanism, this entity that you have been given a name for, whatever it is, then get some veggies in your body, man. I know people that eat meat and potatoes all the time. I did growing up, by the way. And of course, they can't go to the toilet half the time. And it's like, you might want to try a veggie. But why are you talking about green? And they mock vegetarians. I don't mock a vegetarian. I don't mock vegans. I envy them because they have more resolve than I do. There's only one lake in Texas. I knew there was only one, but I didn't know the name of it. Caddo. All the rest are man-made. Many are now infested by the zebra mussels. So for those of you on YouTube, 10 years from now, talking to a friend of mine, Mark McDougall, who's in Austin, Texas, and knows something about waterways because he's a water guy. And he's just pointing out to me and to the rest of you that in this great big state of Texas, it's a big state, kids. Physically, it's big. It's not designed to have water, lakes. The government installed lakes. Like you install a toilet, they installed lakes. And I don't know enough about waterways to help with this. I know there's supposed to be an advantage to using dams and stuff to generate power and to create recreational areas. But in the main, what we have are humidity enhancers. I don't know if Mark would agree with that. He spends more time around water. We have a lake here called White Rock Lake. Chris and I have biked it together. Chris has biked it 1,000,000 times. I've only biked it 1,000 times. And, it's a water feature. I like water features. I'd like a pond in my backyard. It's nice that somebody put a large pond somewhere in the middle of Dallas, but you'll never see anybody swimming in there. It's polluted as hell. Every time the water level rises from a storm, and then when it subsides, it leaves thousands of empty water bottles on its shore, along with all kinds of other garbage. Some of you have seen the pictures I've posted over the years. After a large storm, I'll go along some of the waterways, the creeks, and there will be plastic bags that were in the water that got snagged on trees. Hundreds, probably thousands of plastic grocery bags littering the entire waterway, right? It's so unattractive. Okay. So, and here's a kicker, in case you're not from Texas, you didn't know this. So we almost lost our entire power system back in the winter time. There was a massive freeze, and with it, we were told we were minutes away from almost a complete failure of the power system. So everybody was up in arms, calling the governor and all these power managers bastards. Look what you almost did to us, because many people went 3 days and some even more without any power at all, completely cut off. So you would think, they were talking about the state legislature was talking about an investigation and regulation and doing all this stuff, because our power system is privately regulated by something called ERCOT. Well, they've done nothing about the power system, but they did manage to pass anti-abortion, anti-voting, and anti-peace legislation. There will be better access to guns, easier to carry a gun. It's going to be harder to vote, and it's going to be impossible to get an abortion for any reason. And when it is done with even a modicum of deviation from the little bit of room that they left, you will be subject to felony imprisonment. That's what the Texas legislature. It's kind of like the United States Congress, where we're getting our asses kicked. We're getting our Democratic asses kicked in Texas also. Well, where at least Arizona managed to eke out 2 Democrats for the Senate, we don't have any such luck here. We have Ted Cruz. We have Ted Cancun, the man who fled the state in the midst of our meltdown. Ted Cruz, John Cornyn. Oh, God, we are so right wing. It is unfreaking believable. Now, Kathy earlier today inquired about Matthew McConaughey. There's a lot of talk about him running, and people are like, well, what would you do? And as I indicated to her, and I indicate to people in private conversation, Matthew McConaughey is a very conservative guy. I don't know that he would support Trump. I don't remember. But if you listen to him, and he talks a lot, he's pretty open about his political opinions. He's pretty conservative, but he's not nuts. He's not an idiot. He's certainly smarter than Greg Abbott, our governor. Our governor doesn't have, if brains were dynamite, he couldn't blow up his nose, okay? I mean, Greg Abbott's just a one-man disaster. He can't string together 5 sentences. He can read 5 sentences. He can't string them together. And then, as I say, we've got the likes of Ted Cruz here, John Cornyn, and Gommert Gomert's just an embarrassment. I mean, he's like, if I invited him to dinner with some friends of mine, I would probably get up in the middle of dinner and leave. I would pick up the check for everybody as a way of apologizing to him for foisting this guy, this oozes bad stuff, this stupid bad stuff too, not smart bad stuff. Anyways, so we took a time out today, and I'm going to wrap up now, to talk a little politics. I didn't want to, but it's a red letter day politically. It's a red letter day that the U.S. Congress can't get any legs moving towards the John Lewis designed legislation on voter rights. That voter suppression will continue unfettered. Voter suppression will continue unfettered throughout the United States right up until the next election. If for some reason every Democrat in the country got out and voted, we might prevail. But remember what I'm telling you. Your state either has now or will likely have the probability they will give themselves, the Republicans will give themselves the right to overturn the electoral votes and to redesignate them to the losing party, which will be the Republicans under this scenario. So it had to be discussed. We have to light a fire under somebody. I just don't know who. I mean, we keep talking about the Democrats, and people like me talk about them like dogs, and I'm their friend. I've been a Democrat for a long time. I'm their friend, and I talk about them like dogs. Can you imagine what it sounds like when a bunch of Republican old white men are sitting around smoking cigars, expensive cigars, purchased with money they got from their very, very wealthy donors, and they're sitting there? Do you not believe for a minute they are just giggling with glee and just smirking at the machinations of the Democrats? It must be, maybe they even have secret comedy clubs where they conduct roast, where the Democrats aren't present to be roasted. So they probably just take like an effigy of Bernie Sanders and sit in a chair, and then they bring in a bunch of right-wing comics to just mock them, you know. I'm sorry, that's what I imagine is going on, because when I'm watching these political maneuvers by Mitch McConnell, I stand in awe. He has successfully stymied the any progressive politics for 10 years unfailingly. He brought Obama to a standstill. He forwarded the court agenda for Trump, and now he has brought Biden to a complete shutdown. Complete. Don't tell me about executive orders, because they ain't shit, man. They ain't nothing. So Chris is reminding me it's time to go. Got my wings out, getting ready to fly away and do whatever Ken does after the show goes off the air each night. Does this look like flying? I don't think so. Looks a little gay. I don't mind looking a little gay. I don't even mind being accused of being a little gay. But that's not what I'm trying to look like at the moment. I'm trying to look like a bird in flight. Thank you, Anne, for acknowledging and recognizing. You know, to say it's extremely frustrating is accurate, but I'm feeling something even deeper than frustration. I'm really feeling a sense of just betrayal, of complete impotence. You know, it's like I just had my male parts removed, but I'm horny. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to have sex, but I want it, but I'm incapable of having it. That's what it feels like right now. It's a frustration that is, I can't remember a time where I have felt as much frustration as I have felt these last 6 years. Absolutely incredible. And I didn't like Obama because he didn't do anything. When he had a chance to do something, he didn't do anything because he was listening to those Chicago politicians who were telling him you can't screw up your first 4 years because then you won't have a second 4 years. So he got 8 years, but he didn't do shit. He really did. I mean, look at his track record, legislative track record. Obama did almost nothing. He got Obamacare passed. When did he get it passed? Early. That was when he could have done everything he could do early. And he sacrificed us for a second term. Obama threw us on the heap of history. And unfortunately, Biden will get thrown with us. All right. I'm rambling. I'm supposed to be meta-ing. Namamo Rengekyo ho, Namyamo Rengekyo ho, Namyamo. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sapatiyo vivajantu saparoko vinasatu mate watawatarayu sukhiti. Oh, you didn't come here to hear me chant. You are ready to metta. May I be happy, healthy, free from all harm, free from anger, anxiety, and fear, and frustration, and this sense of impotence. And may this path bring me greater peace and comfort than I tend to find in my normal daily life. May my mother and father and all my living relatives and all my friends be free from the same things I just said, because my friends are frustrated. Lord knows my friends are frustrated. And I want them to know, to be recipients of my kindness, compassion, goodwill. May they be happy, healthy. May they find the path that guides them to greater peace and comfort. May those persons I find disturbing, those persons I harbor ill will, persons I encounter at a personal level, and those persons who are operating way beyond me and affecting my life in such an adverse way, all these persons, may they find happiness and good health and live lives in peace and comfort. May the entire globe, the entire universe, all living beings, human and non-humans, may they thrive with good health, free from harm, happiness, living out their lives in safety, comfort, and peace. Satu, Satu, Satu. Satu, to remind you, means excellent, well done. It's what we do when we conclude any meditation, including the metta meditation that we just did together. So, tomorrow, I will try to bring a happy face. Oh, wait, tomorrow's Wednesday. I don't know if I'll be here because I've got to be at the temple. Got to be at the temple leading meditation. So I think Wednesdays may need to be on the chopping block. I haven't figured out how to manage the logistics. So if I don't see you tomorrow, Thursday, let's do this, okay? Oh, I used to do this with my children when they were young. I would go da 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 da. Da 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 da. Ba 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 bum. Ba 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 bum. Eventually, as they got older, they would groan. Like, oh man, because we would do it in restaurants. All right, kids. Bye.